tomorrow at 8 Eastern and Pacific.
What is the perfect shoe? One that's beautiful, that makes you feel good? How about a shoe that supports a special cause? Even better, a shoe that does all these things at half price. This perfect shoe, thousands of them in fact, can be found during Shoes on Sale on QVC. Designer and brand name shoes are sold at half price, with all net proceeds benefiting breast cancer research and education. So every shoe you buy is the perfect shoe.
Wednesday, October 15th on QVC.
I really don't know what to do. I mean, hot flashes, night sweats. I just feel awful.
Take one caplet of all-natural New Phase every day. New Phase has more of the plant estrogens clinically shown to reduce hot flashes and night sweats. New Phase. Get more out of life.
You live life to the limits, so why limit yourself to menstrual relief that works against just one symptom? With maximum strength multi-symptom Pamprin, you get fast relief from cramps, bloating, tension, backaches, and headaches. Trust Pamprin, and period pain won't limit you.
It's 10 before the hour, time for your tropical update. It is a busy night in the tropics with 4 named storms. First of all, let's take a look at Dr. William Gray's projection. Earlier in the season, he had expected 14 named storms, 8 hurricanes and 3 major hurricanes. And so far, what we've had compares favorably to his projection with 3 major hurricanes, the latest of which was Kate, 6 hurricanes altogether, and 12 named storms so far this season. One, of course, has been Larry. Larry now is a tropical depression over land in southeast Mexico. The top sustained winds are 35 miles per hour, and TD Larry's drifting south-southwest at 3. You can see there have been bursts of convection, so the main threat remains the possibility of flooding, mudslides, and that sort of thing the next 12 to 24 hours. Storm total rainfalls could be in the 8 to 12 inch range over this region of Mexico. Out in the open Atlantic is Hurricane Kate, a far weaker hurricane than at this time on Saturday night, Sunday morning, when top sustained winds were 125. Well, tonight, Kate has 90-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Its location 505 miles east of Bermuda at 33 degrees north and 56.1 degrees west. Kate is now moving north at 12. Remember, last night at this time, the movement was west. But it's starting to feel the influence of a low-pressure trough along the eastern seaboard and a high-pressure system to the east. So overall, the upper-level winds are becoming southwesterly. And notice in the satellite picture that Kate looked like it just about came to a screeching halt earlier today and is now taking that northeastward movement. That's expected to continue, and the forward motion expected to increase, and eventually Kate will become extratropical over the span of the next 24 to 36 hours. The impact, Bermuda, high surf 12 to 18 feet, otherwise Kate a threat to shipping. Here in the eastern Pacific, 2 separate storms, 2 hurricanes, looking fairly ragged on the satellite picture, but Olaf in particular is over an area where the shear is decreasing and conditions will remain favorable for strengthening over the next couple of days. On the other hand, Nora is moving northwest towards cooler water and a more stable atmosphere, so it is expected to weaken from an 85-mile-per-hour hurricane. Eventually, it could curl in towards Baja California as a minimal system, bringing moderate amounts of rainfall and gusty winds. Now, the second system is Olaf, 75-mile-per-hour hurricane, paralleling the coastline now over warm water, winds aloft becoming lighter. So again, some strengthening could occur as it moves northwest for a time and then may curl back in towards the coastline. But just exactly where it makes landfall, not etched in stone, and there's a lot of uncertainty in that. Right now, though, there are hurricane warnings in effect and a tropical storm warning a little bit farther south. The projected path takes it up into western Mexico somewhere the next several days, with the moisture eventually reaching possibly West Texas during this upcoming week. We'll keep an eye on it for you. The western Pacific, very tranquil right now. Back into the states, a quiet night in the northeast. Still some lake effect showers, though, in the counties north of Syracuse. Tomorrow, though, should be mostly sunny and cool. In the southern states, stalled out front, we have showers and storms, some severe here in West Texas, in Fisher County, in Scurry and Borden counties. This line of thunderstorms prompting severe thunderstorms.
And could eventually affect the coast of the Canadian Maritimes. Right now, it's well away from the island of Bermuda, but could still kick up the surf here over the next 24 hours in that area to the tune of 12 to 18 feet. So we'll still watch Hurricane Kate move toward the north. This is Tropical Depression Larry. After meandering out here in the Bay of Campeche, it did move inland over the weekend and providing flooding rains, mudslides, and numerous evacuations here in Mexico. It could eventually move across Mexico and into the Pacific Ocean, but that still remains to be seen. In the Pacific, we have two hurricanes. We have Olaf and, back toward the east, Nora. Olaf is the biggest threat to land because it is so close to the Mexican shoreline, and actually as it moves toward the north-northwest at 7 miles an hour, it's just skirting the Mexican shore, already providing some heavy rainfall. 75-mile-an-hour winds in the center, and as it continues to move northward, we do have hurricane warnings for the central Mexican shoreline, tropical storm warnings toward the south. Its path takes it, again, right here along the coastal regions, and it could move inland at any time if it takes a little jog toward the east, but eventually this will provide plenty of moisture up into the southwestern United States. So could Nora. Also a hurricane, 75-mile-an-hour winds in the center, but it is dissipating somewhat, and it looks like it's weakening and will continue to do so as it moves into Baja California, providing them with some heavy rainfall. Kim?
Insurance agencies face the monstrous task of covering damage from Hurricane Isabel. The Bloomberg Money Barometer looks at a price tag that now exceeds $1 billion.
Good morning. Hurricane Isabel, which damaged homes from North Carolina to New Jersey, will probably cost insurers about $1.2 billion. According to the Insurance Services Office, or the ISO, insurance companies will probably receive about 458,000 claims from homeowners, auto owners, as well as businesses. The ISO predicts $450 million in damages in Virginia, $410 million in Maryland and Washington, D.C., and $170 million in North Carolina. According to Lehman Brothers analyst Chris Winans, the hurricane loss almost doubled storm losses for insurance companies in the third quarter. Winans said quarterly storm losses, including Isabel, were about 4 times greater than the same period last year and 41% higher than the 7-year average. In fact, Travelers Property Casualty is one of the latest companies to say it will lose money because of the hurricane. The third biggest U.S. insurer reduced its 2003 earnings target after estimating $75 million in losses from Hurricane Isabel. For the Weather Channel, I'm Linda Bell with the Bloomberg Money Barometer.
Find out if the weather will help or hurt your Monday morning commute just ahead.
We'll also find out what's coming up on your weather today. Stay with us.
This program was brought to you by Smith Barney. This is who we are. This is how we earn it.
Most people will tell you the market opens at 9:30 a.m.
It depends on which market you're talking about.
It's all about the details. The after-hours conference call.
Complacency is an investor's worst enemy.
You have to have the will,
the ability,
the discipline,
the foresight
to adapt.
I've been with Smith Barney for 2711
for 18 years.
Because we work in the manner that best suits our clients' needs. Smith Barney.
This is who we are. This is how we earn it.
I've been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, La Paloma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Tocopilla, Barranquilla, and Padilla, Amarillo. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
The road is full of choices. Stay twice at these Choice hotels this fall and earn a free night with Choice privileges. Earn an unlimited number of free nights. For reservations or more details, visit choicehotels.com. Choice Hotels. We'll see you there.
could have seen it coming.
Welcome back to Weather Center. I'm Rich Johnson.
And I'm Janetta Jones. It's 50 minutes past the hour, and it's time for your tropical update. Let's get started by looking at the big picture across the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. And things are a little bit on the quiet side, but we do have a couple of areas of interest. Of course, we're still following Kate as it is moving very, very rapidly on off towards the north and the east, and will become extratropical very, very soon. So we're not going to have to worry about it much longer. And we were talking about Larry for so long, and now it's moving back from the Bay of Campeche across Mexico and the Gulf of Tehuantepec right on back into possibly the Pacific. So we may see it reform in the Pacific and get a different name, because the Pacific arena, if you will, has different names than the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. So with that said, let's zoom in on a few of these areas. First stop into the Bahamas, an area of disturbed weather here stretching from Cuba across the Bahamas, going to be giving way to more showers and thunder showers, probably not going to impact Florida, and probably not going to become anything tropically speaking, but certainly will bear watching. Across the Gulf of Mexico, all is quiet, looking good here, and as we mentioned, Larry, no longer a tropical entity in the Atlantic, but it continues to bring heavy rains across Mexico, and like I said, some of that circulation may reemerge here in the Pacific, and if it does become something in tropical storm status, if you will, it would take on a new name, a new identity. Across the rest of the Caribbean, all is relatively quiet, although we have been seeing some flare-up near the Lesser Antilles. This is just a closer vantage point from the Bay of Campeche right here into Mexico and back out into parts of the Pacific, basically, where you see that flare-up starting to occur. So it may, in fact, reform, and we'll certainly keep an eye on that for you. Elsewhere, I want to tell you about Hurricane Kate. 85-mile-per-hour winds, movement north-northeast at about 22 miles per hour, so moving at a fairly good clip here. Estimated pressure 979 millibars. And like I said, we anticipate that it will continue to weaken and actually become extratropical. Won't be a tropical entity anymore as it gets over colder waters, now moving away from the lower 48 and away from any land at this point. So that's some good news with Kate. Here we go to the Lesser Antilles, a flare-up of convection, showers and thunder showers moving across Martinique, and will be affecting the Virgin Islands with some scattered showers and thunder showers, but that will be about it. Now as we go to the Pacific, we've got two systems to tell you about. First of all, Tropical Storm Nora, and then we have Olaf, a hurricane. With Nora, winds are at 60 miles per hour. It's stationary right now, so not moving very much, and the forecast a little uncertain at this point. So that is Nora. Now this is Olaf, and I want to let you know that we have winds at 75 miles per hour. Movement is at north at 7 miles per hour, and we do have a number of tropical storm warnings in effect along the Mexico coastline, and also some hurricane watches and warnings in effect that go all the way north to Mazatlan, Mexico. So we need to keep that in mind. Uncertain about the projected path, but we think that it will have more of a northward movement over time. So something we'll certainly have to watch very closely with this hurricane. It could bring some heavy rains into Mexico and the Gulf of California. So going to be watching that very closely. Now with a look at Storm Watch, here's Rich.
All right, let's see what's going on around the country, and we have some showers and some thunderstorms, especially building in Texas, we think. Really anywhere across the south we'll find scattered showers. Later today, a better chance of rain for you, and farther to the west, back over past Montgomery, some rain coming in, but it's over to Texas. Have a look over to Texas and over to Houston, some showers and thunder showers, and the latest radar is showing some pretty active weather moving past Bryan and maybe dropping down toward Houston later today.
Thanks a lot, Rich. Now here's meteorologist Jim Cantori with a sneak preview of tonight's episode of Storm Stories.
Tonight on Storm Stories, the heart-wrenching story of the Ocean Ranger disaster. Back in 1982, the world's largest semi-submersible oil rig was under attack by a blinding snowstorm, hurricane-force winds, and angry seas. 84 crewmen aboard the rig were trapped, and search and rescue crews could not help. We'll tell you how this deadly disaster has helped save the lives of others tonight on Storm Stories. That's at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on the Weather Channel.
Coming up, we'll have your Monday Night Football forecast.
Plus the forecast from coast to coast. Stay with us after your local on the 8th.
expect fair skies on Wednesday and Thursday. And on Friday, expect a chance of rain.
Welcome back to PM Edition. It's 10 minutes before the hour, and that means it's time for your tropical update. Let's check in with our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. And Dr. Steve, we've seen things quieting down in the Atlantic, but not so in the Eastern Pacific.
That's correct, Christina. Larry is inland and producing still some rain, but it's clearing out in the Atlantic. We have a couple of problem areas, but the Eastern Pacific, we've got one big problem of heavy rain potential. Let's look first of all in the Gulf of Mexico and out into the Caribbean. Remnant of Larry sitting over land, still producing some rain, had upwards of 10 inches of rain there overnight in some areas of Mexico, but that rain will be dwindling if it actually comes out into the Eastern Pacific and reforms. It could be Tropical Storm Patricia. Right now we're not seeing any signs of that happening yet. The shower action over the Bahamas is going to rapidly move to the northeast. That's associated with a non-tropical trough of low pressure, large-scale low pressure moving through Florida. So we're in pretty good shape there. And if you're heading toward the Caribbean, great news there, just a broad upper-level low pressure center over the Antilles. Nothing to worry about there. And these showers out here in the central Atlantic are associated with that upper-level low pressure center. There's not much at the surface with this, and the showers are dwindling with time. May bring some rain to the Leeward Islands here and the Windward Islands in about 24 to 36 hours. We still have a hurricane up here in the North Atlantic. That's Kate. Let's look at the statistics there. 80 miles per hour, moving north-northeast at 24, and it's probably moving faster than that now. It's really accelerated to the northeast over the last 12 hours. The wave action in Bermuda is dropping away. It missed you as expected, and now you can see the circulation is opening up and the thunderstorms blowing away from it. It'll become extratropical in another 24 to 36 hours. Still a marine hazard. Now here's a big problem in the Eastern Pacific. Tropical Storm Olaf. Winds are not that strong, 50 miles per hour, but it's a slow mover, and look at the deep thunderstorms associated with it right now. Most of those thunderstorms are offshore, which is the good news. Let's zoom in on it, and you can see the big blast of thunderstorms blowing up there. Watch out the next 24 to 36 hours for heavy rain from Punta San Telmo up through Manzanillo and possibly all the way up to Cabo Corrientes, where we could see some mudslides and flooding over the next 24 to 36 hours. We expect the system to gradually move onshore and then pull northeastward through time. So that's a big flood potential there. Watch out. In the meantime, most of the heavy rain is offshore, and the winds along the coast remain fairly light. The higher elevations are getting winds of about 15 to 20 miles per hour, however. We have another tropical storm, Nora. It's on the way down, winds down to 45 miles per hour. And at this stage of the game, that's probably a gift. There it is there. It's almost a low-level vortex. And it'll probably eventually creep toward the Baja California coast. But before it gets there, it's going to be a pretty weak vortex and probably void of all deep thunder showers. So all this high cloud here is going to make for some pretty sunsets. There is some surf from it, though. It's a rather broad, weak, low-level circulation. We've got wave action of about 4 to 8 feet, making some good surfing conditions in southern Baja California for you surfers. But other than that, no impacts to land. We'll keep you informed on that rain flood potential from Olaf. Let's get back to the studio now with Christina.
All right, Dr. Steve Lyons, thanks for keeping us updated. Now let's take a look at what's going on a little closer to home. We're seeing some wet weather across the country, some rain and thunderstorms. Plenty of soggy weather across Alabama and Georgia. We're seeing stormy weather in western Texas. As a matter of fact, a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And look at those temperatures. We have some pretty warm weather across most of the country, especially here in the northern plains. Temperatures are still in the 80s, so nice and mild there. Still hanging on to a little cool weather, though, in the northeast. Tomorrow should be gorgeous, though, for most of the northeast. As far as the stormy weather, you're seeing that here across western Texas. Lamb County still under a severe thunderstorm warning. And keep in mind that some of these storms could produce maybe golf ball size hail and, of course, the damaging winds and the heavy rain and lightning. And we're also watching that wet weather across the Texas coast, although a lot of the heavier rain has moved offshore, and across parts of Georgia and Alabama and into the Carolinas, seeing some wet weather too.
Well, there's much more to come on the second hour of PM Edition. We'll take a look ahead to your weekend and beyond in the Weekly Planner.
Plus, we'll take a peek at the changes in the West and what to expect when you head out to the polls in California tomorrow.
Stay with us.
You'd never hear this from John, but he owns the best car repair shop in town. He's got a well-deserved reputation for getting it right the first time. He listens to his customers